So welcome to this video presentation all about the first and second year of our engineering degree at Durham University. My name is Will Coombs, I'm the admissions tutor for engineering programs. I'm also an associate professor in the kind of mechanical and civil engineering elements of our degree. So just before we get actually onto the sort of content of our first couple of years, what I'd like to just do is set the scene a little bit about the size of the department and a bit about our history. Now, I do have a separate presentation, separate video about the history of our degree, and so do check that out if you want a bit more information. But we're quite small as a department for 150 students per year. However, we are currently ranked 5th in the UK and 2nd in terms of graduate employability, with 91% of our engineering graduates in graduate level paid employment within 6 months of graduating. We're also the oldest engineering department in the UK, so we first started awarding degrees in 1838. The whole aim of this presentation is to talk about the first couple of years of our degree. And so before I get into that though, I'd just like to give you a snapshot of our structure of our degrees. If you are interested in the structure, do check out our other video, the other video I put together, which is all about the structure of our degree and how the first and second years lead into the third and fourth and different options you have there. But at Durham, we run general engineering degrees, and so all of our students undertake a common first 2 years, and that's what I want to focus on today. So let's have a look at some of the content that you'll be learning as a first year engineer at Durham University. We split down our degree in the first year into 6 modules, and the first one of those modules is all about solid mechanics and structures, and this is core knowledge for mechanical and civil engineers. So you'll learn about stress and strain, you'll learn about material failure, about structures, beams, equilibrium, and the image you can see here is a photo from our civil engineering laboratory where you can actually see some first year students in the background there undertaking some experiments which are tied to civil engineering. Another module, another taught engineering module, is all about thermodynamics and fluid mechanics, and this is really essential knowledge for mechanical engineers. However, it's also useful for civil engineers. We focus here on things like the first and second laws of thermodynamics, about static and dynamic fluids, dimensional analysis, really building up this core knowledge, this underpinning knowledge into thermodynamics and fluid mechanics. And just like the previous module, this module is assessed via an exam. So the final taught module you have on your engineering material is about electronic and electrical systems, fundamental knowledge for those engineers working in that area, and you'll learn all about digital analog electronics, you'll learn about electromagnetism, and the image we have here is some undergraduate first year students working in our electronics laboratory, wiring up circuits using a breadboard. And this module is assessed via an exam, just like our other engineering taught modules. These taught modules are supplemented by a module which is called engineering practice, and this is really teaching the underpinning practical skills and experience that you need to be engineers. So as part of this module, you will spend time each week in laboratories doing physical experimentation. You will learn how to sketch. Now, sketching is a really important tool for all engineers to be able to quickly convey your ideas to different audiences by sketching out your ideas using pen and paper. You'll learn how to use computer-aided design, or CAD. So this is a computer package where you can develop 3-dimensional models of parts that you're designing or want to manufacture. You'll learn how to program, and the same with CAD. With programming, we teach you from the basics, so you may have some experience already, but we're assuming that you don't have any because it's not a requirement of our degree to have experience in either of those things. You'll also do design activities, working in teams, solving engineering problems. And this whole module is assessed by different parts of coursework. So some from labs, some from the design, some from the programming, some from the CAD, etc. Bringing together those practical skills in the assessment, which is coursework based. Now, engineers need to know a certain amount of mathematics. And so the other module, another module you'll sit, the 5th module, is all about mathematics and teaching you those mathematical skills that we need as a tool to solve problems. And this will comprise of things like matrices and vectors, complex numbers, differentiation, integration, linear algebra, and this module is assessed via both homework and also an exam. Now, some of these topics you may have covered before, but these are the core knowledge that we need our engineers to know in terms of mathematics, so we are reinforcing that during this first year module. And finally, to bring everything together, to complete your 6th module, you'll have a free elective. So this is a module you can choose from across the university. You may take a module in history, it could be a language, it could be mathematics, it could be physics, law, it could be computer science, it could be a business module. Provided it fits with our timetable, you can choose a module that really reinforces perhaps a current interest or develops a new interest. And the assessment for these modules is obviously depends on the content of them, so it does vary across the different modules. But it's a great opportunity to widen your horizons whilst you're at university. Now obviously module content does vary year to year, and this is just a snapshot of our first year as it currently stands, but it gives you an idea of the sorts of things that you would be learning about during that first year at university. So how is that content arranged over the year, the academic year? Well, at Durham we run a term system, so we have 3 terms. The first term runs between October and December, the second term between January and March, and the third term is after Easter. Those first 2 terms, which are both 10 weeks in length, is where we do most of our teaching. So during those terms, you'd expect to have lectures, seminars, labs, and other activities such as CAD and design. You'll be doing coursework during that time as well. Now the third term is our examination term, and you'll have a couple of weeks of revision, but then you'll be into your exams. And after the exams, you'll have a practical engineering skills course, which will reinforce what those practical skills you've already developed through the first 2 terms. Now just to give you an idea in terms of workload, we expect all students at Durham University to spend around 1,200 hours per year on their studies, so that's about 200 hours per module of those 6 modules that you'll be taking. So what does a typical timetable look like for our first year students? Well, everything you see here in blue is a lecture. So you have around 12 hours of lectures per week. And you can see some of the key terms coming out from the modules that I spoke about earlier in this presentation. So you can see maths, you can see electromagnetism, fluid mechanics, thermodynamics. There's analog and digital systems, so these electronics content. There's mechanics of the material point and mechanics of systems. So this is core knowledge or material understanding, stress and strain and failure of materials and structures, etc. So those are all lectures, those blue blocks. The red blocks are labs of one for another. So on a Friday afternoon, there's a physical experimentation for 3 hours. On a Tuesday morning, there's CAD or sketching for a couple of hours. You'll also have other smaller group work. So the purple activities are either a seminar or a smaller lab associated for free elective, or also small group supervision. So every student in the engineering department at Durham will have an academic advisor, and they will meet with them quite regularly during the first term as a first year student, and every academic will have about 5 students that they look after in this way. And during those weekly sessions, you will discuss common issues, common things that are coming up. It will be kind of a way to disseminate information both ways, and that academic will follow your studies throughout your degree, and really they're the first calling point if you have any questions or things you're not sure about during the degree. You'll also meet to discuss feedback and assessment marks as well. And if you also have a look, we've got this kind of green block on a Wednesday afternoon, and that's kept free for extracurricular activities, which is common across pretty much all universities in the UK. So this could be sports or other societies. And if you add everything together in terms of your taught hours, you're looking at about 20 hours per week of contact time, which is pretty high compared to a lot of other subjects, but it's not unusual for a science-based subject. The situation for the second year is quite similar. You still have 6 modules, but now 4 of those are engineering. You have 1 module which is all about engineering design, and another module which is about mathematics. So again, teaching you those mathematical skills that you need to succeed as an engineer. So if we have a look at the blue modules, we've got one on solid mechanics and structures, very much following on from the first year module with a similar name. You've got one on thermodynamics and fluid mechanics, again following on. But now electronics and electrical have been split out into 2 different modules to kind of emphasize their importance. And you've got listed here some of the types of subjects that you would study during those modules. Most of the modules are assessed through both exam and coursework, apart from the engineering design module, which is purely coursework. And again, this is a current snapshot of our second year, but things obviously change year to year as we ensure we keep things up to date and current. So that hopefully gives you a bit of a taster of what the first couple of years of engineering degree are like. From that, you would then follow on to different streams, but I cover that in a separate presentation, which is all about the structure of our engineering degrees. So I'd just like to leave you with a quote from a recent graduate, James Marriott. And I think this really emphasizes what we're trying to do at Durham University, which is allow our students those first 2 years to learn about all the different engineering disciplines before they make a choice about what they want to do. And it also kind of highlights how James had a great time at university, not just in terms of the course, but the wider experience as well. So thanks for listening. Do make sure you check out our other videos about the course structure and about the history of the department.